Good morning, everyone.
No, yeah.
We could please, we're gonna stand and say pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jake, if you could do the roll call, please.
Keisha Johnner,
Here.
Jim Mueller,
Here.
Steve McCombs.
Here,
Entertain a motion for today's agenda.
I move we approve today's agenda.
A support.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Don.
Aye. On to communications. I would like to first say that it's very important that the audience understands that if you're speaking in the audience, people online can hear you. So even if you're whispering, you're going to be able to be heard. It's a little bit different mic system. And I also want to just take the time and thank the facilities department, IT, I know public health. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but thank you for this. This has been, this is a transition and we are very grateful. I'm very grateful. So thank you for that. So it's any other communications. Seeing none, move on. This is the public comments portion. This is the portion in which you can speak on something that is not on the agenda below. So these could be possibly become future topics. So is there any public comments? Seeing none, move on. Entertain a motion for today's consent agenda.
Move to approve today's consent agenda.
Second,
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
aye.
On to business. Item number 1. This is one of my favorite things to do. This is our presentation of Employee Years of Service Awards. We have some employees with us today that have been with us, and we are going to be honoring those that have done 5. So Jim will do 5 years, Steve will do 10 and 15, and then the 20, 25, and I believe there's a 35 actually. And that is great. 30, 20, 25, 30. I mean, everybody being able to serve, and we appreciate everybody's dedication. But anyways, instead of me rambling, I just appreciate this. This is something that I really, really enjoy. I think we've been doing this for, I don't know, Renee, if it's 3 or 4 years, but Renee helps put this together. HR department helped put this together. So we will then we will say the awards, and then those that are with us that are receiving the plaques, we will step out. The meeting will continue running. We're going to step out, take a quick picture, and then we're going to come right back. So I just didn't want everybody thinking we're leaving. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim, and Jim's going to do 5 years.
Very good. Thank you very much. And I concur that this is a very important process to thank everybody for their years of service, anywhere from 5 to, I mean, that's wonderful, 35 years. So thank you for your efforts to support the county. The 5-year service award goes out to Josh Boone, Daryl Brown, Ashley Buckaloo, John Davis, Emily Fagans, Cameron Kleinschmidt, Brandon Malin, Joy Messer, Chris Nestaby, Brad Shearer, Renee Thompson, Teresa Van Kooten, Barbara Vasquez, and Cheyenne Wallace. Thank you so much for 5 years of service.
Uh, 10 years, we have Steve Bellum with the road department and Jessica Kingery with facilities and the maintenance department. 15 years, Mark Schmaltz with the sheriff's office.
I'm going to step up, and then when I say your name, I'd like you to come forward, please. We have Dennis Creekhouse. Dennis couldn't be with us this morning, but I want to make sure and honor Dennis, he is 20 years, so I know Tyler will be able to get that to him for us. I'd ask Kristen McCombs to please come up. Kristen, thank you for your years of service. We greatly appreciate it, and I want to make sure that the time in which you've been here has been grateful, and I think it's very important that we honor this, and I hope that Michaela will also want to have a picture taken here soon directly. Thank you. Thanks. Ross Tool? Ross, 20 years. Thank you so much for your time and dedication to Marion County. It is very imperative to us and we appreciate it. I know that you see a lot on the conservation department, so thank you. And again, I hope that Kale will want to have a picture taken with him, so thank you. Ross, I appreciate it. Tim Chambers. 25 years, Tim. We appreciate you. You've seen a lot over 25 years. A lot of changes, right? But
You didn't have gray hair with garden.
we are very, very grateful. And Tim, we thank you for your time and dedication. And so Tyler, we appreciate you and we ask that hopefully you'll take a picture also with him. So thank you. Mike McMurray.
Another gray.
Mike. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. I know that 25 years is a long time and we appreciate all the time and dedication that you give to the department. I know that you work tirelessly for us and we appreciate that. So thank you. And Tyler, thank you. And hopefully you'll also take a picture with him. Tim Vanderpool could not be with us this morning, but again, Tim has been with us for 35 years and we are very, very grateful. Tyler, I ask that when you present this to Tim on our behalf, to please let him know that we thank him for his time and dedication. And I hope that you were able to get a picture with him. So, and thank you everyone. And again, thank you for all your years of service. And I want to make sure and thank Tim for that. So. We're going to step away real quick and take these pictures and we'll come right back. You're gonna go ahead and bring those? Okay. Thank you for your patience. Thank you, everyone, for your patience on that. I greatly appreciate it. Service boards are done, so do we need to close discussion there? Entertain a motion to close discussion on the service year boards.
So moved.
Support.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
On to item number 2, this is the Marion County Fair Association, the VA grounds parking agreement. Jason, yes, if you could please, come over here to the mic. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
Appreciate you coming this morning. It's my understanding this agreement has been something that's been in place for a few years, is that correct?
Yeah, we had the last 2 years, I guess, this be year 3.
Okay, all right. And so this is something that is for parking, for overflow parking. Specifically, I know that you use it for the nationals, the 360s nationals. And is there anything regarding this document? I know that you and I have discussed some changes. But I wanted to be able to have the board discuss, and maybe you have some changes that you want to, discuss with us. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, there was, some confusion, I guess, on exactly how it, the last couple of years, we've been maintaining, as far as the ground, the hay and stuff, just so, we could have it, done when we needed, when we had an event that we need to use it, did it that way. As I understand, you guys did a lease for the whole year with including this ground, so, I mean, if whoever's doing agrees to have it off when we need it, that's fine. We did do it the first time. Kind of my fault. I should have got a hold of the guy that did it for us in the past. The thing of it is though, if it helps you guys out, the hay is still sitting there. It's not left the grounds, it's there. So if that helps to have that back for you guys, that's fine, and I will take care of paying the farmer for his work, I guess, of doing it. So
Okay. Shoot back up. Yeah, I mean, we did have a lease in place, and that lease was signed, I believe, in May, and so I wanna make sure that we do honor that. I wanna make sure that we are good tenants in regard to that, but,
And I think the thing to point out too is on that lease, that was a bid letting. Anybody could have responded to that, it was public bid letting. And it does call for an exclusive right to use that hay, so. And appreciate the fact that somebody went out there and bailed that section, but that hay actually does belong to the leasee. So, I mean, that is something that he really needs to be able to come out and get that, because like I said, it's the exclusive right of that person, so.
all right,
Is he okay with that? Who is it, Roberts?
it's Connor McRoberts.
Yeah.
I have not talked to myself, but I was told by another fair board member that he said he didn't care about it because it was more than he wanted right now. But if you guys want to continue to do it, I'm fine with that. So.
Yeah, well, our facilities person is the one that helped with the lease, and it's my understanding, you spoke with Mr. McRoberts, and he's wanting to continue doing that. I mean, he's got a lease for the whole ground.
No, I'm fine.
Okay, all right.
As long as he's okay with however it works out, that
Right, I just need to make sure that we have it done and Vale's moved off and, when.
Did I see an email that said something about it was gonna be cut by the 25th?
Yeah, well, I mean, we start on the 31st and we need to draw lines and set up lights and all that stuff. So we need to at least have it done and off there by then.
Okay.
Because.
Yeah, as long as he's fine with it, Jason, I'm fine with it. I have no problem with you guys utilizing that space, until development take place or it changes ownership. I have no problem at all.
Regarding dates, Jason, in the past, I know that this contract that we had ran from April to October. Are you good with having something here yet maybe this month, and then because of the time of the essence, we're discussing this, and since we don't have a contract in front of us, I don't see this contract probably being signed until the 22nd, because we're gonna have to have it put before our legal counsel. It's one of those things that I think as a board, we need to do our due diligence to make sure that they see that. But with it expiring on October 1st, I know you and I had spoke, maybe we could try to get something with today's date on it, but the problem is we haven't seen it, and I gotta give time for legal counsel.
So we need to, I mean, it needs to be updated from what has been, that was said.
Yeah, cause when you.
I mean, the 22nd is finally
When you
want to get it done
spoke,
by this.
yeah, and when we spoke yesterday, I thought you were gonna get it to me this afternoon, and I was gonna try to ask that, hey, we could send it, cause I have to make sure that the board sees it. And then I also have to make sure that.
Well,
legal
I mean,
counsel-
other than the dates, I didn't think we changed, I mean, that's the main change, right? The dates.
Well, and then is there, in regarding the amounts.
Oh, yeah,
board-
that, yeah.
Yeah. So in the past, Jason, I know that the chamber has been putting some, helping you with parking, okay?
Yeah.
And there, so.
Chamber and the baseball team.
Yeah, in the baseball team, so definitely something that has been well utilized, and I think it is important that the track be able to use that. As you and I have spoke, the taxpayers of Marion County are the ones that have paid for the bond and regarding the $11 million demo. And so there is still debt on that. And I felt that it was only due diligence to be able to, if somebody was making money off of it, is there something that you guys are willing to, give back to pay down on that, towards that debt?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so just so everybody knows that 100% of the money went to the chamber and the baseball team, and I didn't think about anything, so Keisha brought it to my attention, because I knew it was one less headache I had that week, so I waved it off me, but I proposed to all three individually, I guess, but I guess we would be willing to, I would just take $5,000 for the parking money, because I don't know how, we talked about doing a percentage, but with it being, for people that don't know it, they do Young's Park and the county ground, so it's all kind of convoluted on where, but if we just did a flat rate, I think it'd be easier for us just to be done with it, and then we'll know right off the top, that what's gonna cost us, and so put that way.
I don't have a problem with that number, Jason, as long as the revenue that's generated off the taxpayers' bill. Like Keisha said, we need to be diligent about repaying that, getting that paid down. And I think that's fair.
Jim? you have
I
any-
don't disagree. I think clearly we want to make sure that we support the county fairgrounds and the raceway as well. So we really want to be able to do that. But as Keisha said, we need to make sure that we're responsible to taxpayers as well. So that we are in a revenue sharing agreement with the new lease going forward. I think that's fine. $5,000 seems like a reasonable amount. So I'm perfectly fine with that.
So is anything else need to be changed besides the dates and the
Yeah, and I'm not for sure, because we do have a lease, I would ask that maybe you would speak with legal counsel on regarding, if we need to have anything, there's nothing in the agreement currently. Jared, regarding the hay, but we do have a hay lease, so I don't want. This to me is more in your wheelhouse, I just don't know if we need to have some sort of clause in there that says that there is, no haying on the ground, so. But no, not many changes at all, so I think something we could definitely, and if you're okay with it, I think the best that we could probably do is the 22nd, I think that's our next meeting, is that correct? The 22nd, just approve, and then you can move forward and have that done, if the board is good with that.
As long as the fair board and the guy leasing the ground for the hay can get something worked out, I'm fine with that.
No, I can talk to you too about what we already are done and figure that out too. I didn't want to do that until after talking to you guys to make sure that.
Yeah, and I think it's also so important that, we have our facilities department for a reason, and it's my understanding that, he has spoke with the, person that has the lease, Mr. McRoberts. So I think if there's any communication going on, we need to make sure that Chris is involved and also legal counsel to be able to make sure that any changes. So, but to me, I would prefer that the hay ground just stay with the lease because it's already there, and next year is a new year and there's changes, right? So, yeah.
And that's a point really to be pointed out as well as this is an annual lease. It'll expire long before next year in July. So please don't wait till July to bring it forward.
I did, I'm on March.
He did bring it up. And
Okay,
we
okay,
were
I got it.
discussing, where we were at with the building at the time,
Right.
so, yeah,
Okay,
no,
all
and I do appreciate that.
All right, I appreciate that. Okay.
So,
Put that one on your calendar already again.
I already got it on there.
so thank you, Jason.
All right.
Thank you for your patience and I do appreciate it. Any motion for discussion?
So moved.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. On to item number 3, this is the public hearing portion. This is the proposed zoning map ordinance of 2025-5. I will turn this over to Missy.
So this is a typical area as we've been through on the others, for our zoning ordinance 55.236, the bulk regulations, we allow 4 buildable lots per 40-acre tract. And if you look at the tract right there that we're in, there's already 4. The Sawhill family bought, the described parcel 21994000300. And they are proposing to keep about 14 acres for themselves and then do, if the rezoning is approved to ag residential to allow, then they're gonna do a minor plat of subdivision to sell off. Another 10 acres in the front and then the back portion that goes with it. So, they bought the parcel and have realized, that physically it's more than, more work than they have time for with young children, and they wish to get rid of, a portion of that once, the rezoning is approved. So, they said this is typical, in the areas, in the A1 areas where we have more than, 4 buildable lots in the tract. It is on the, land use map, of course, agricultural, which allows for this to happen at the zone, so the zoning meeting it did pass, 4-1. We did have some neighbors with some questions, and I think all the questions obviously were answered. Their questions were, could this become a major subdivision? If you look at the lay of the land, that's really, this piece isn't gonna be conducive to a major subdivision. Although there is to the, if you look in your packet to the east of it, there is a major subdivision, so never say never, but that's, the proposed split's gonna be 225 feet wide, so it would be really difficult for them, especially with the ditch in it, to do anything of that sort. And, Scott has given approval on the flag lot for access, so just looking to move forward with the rezoning.
So Missy, recap for me on zoning commission, June 17.
Yep, it was 4-1. We only, or 4-0. We only had 4 members present.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah.
Just want to make sure.
It
Okay.
was unanimous.
Okay. All right.
And we had 2 or 3 neighbors present, and we answered their questions after we sent out the next round of public notices before this meeting. We didn't have any comments, or calls.
This is the public hearing portion. Is there anybody from here from the public?
I mean, we have Mr. Sawhill here if you have any other questions for him, but
Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 4 is ordinance 2025-5. This would approve the first reading of the Marion County proposed ordinance that we just reviewed. Board, is there any questions, comments regarding to Missy? I'd just like to recap that when looking at the photos, they are 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 4 is my understanding of what they're wanting to keep. Yep, all right. So rezoning that wanting to have the zoning map updated and then changed. I think that I have no problems with this. If the board doesn't have any problems with it, I understand what they're trying to do. Is that core ground that lines up right next
it
to
is. Yep. So the on your map, the odd shaped parcel that's to the south of it that be sold, that the jets into is actually core ground. So that's very limited as to what's going to happen with that south piece, and that's why it's not a part of the reason. Obviously, it wasn't required because it's not going to be a buildable lot to be rezoned to the ag residential. That also then kind of ensures that there's really not gonna be, and as you can see the way, there's not gonna be any development down there. It's gonna be probably more of a, as we see, and this is extremely close to the corner of the northwest corner of Marion County where Warren, Jasper, Marion, and Polk all come together. You know, we have a lot of people that buy hunting ground, and this is some fairly good hunting ground that most likely will become something that somebody wants to get away for the weekend and
Board, this is just approval for the first reading. Further questions? Entertain a motion for ordinance 2025 first reading. Approval of first reading.
I make a motion, we approve the first reading for ordinance 2025-5.
I'll support.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 5 is the public hearing. This is the proposed Marion County ordinance 2025-6, amending chapter 55 zoning. I'll turn it over to you, Missy.
so we're bringing forth a few changes, and I have sent these to Ross and Jared. As far as we've got some additions, part of these come from the change in state code of accessory dwelling units. So we've got to add some definitions. We've amended a few definitions. We've cleaned up some language on the non-conforming uses, street frontage change, and this is working with the road department, that we've added the requirement that any building permit issued has to be issued to a level A road. Level B roads don't count. So as far as issuing building permits, we did make a change that was kind of a cleanup. If there's utility towers such as microwave towers, radio, cell phone, they need a special use permit in A1. Then just some cleanup, and all these have gone through zoning commission over the past few months and been approved. We made some change to vet clinics as far as to match what was in the commercial and industrial zoning. And then we just got some language cleanup. As we talked, of course, we've added all this accessory dwelling under permitted accessory use. There was a setback change to accessory structures throughout the ordinance due to the moving forward with the ADUs, and then the accessory unit can now become an accessory dwelling unit. We've changed that from what today is 4 feet to 8 feet to give a little more setback because it could be converted. Again, some clerical cleanup, and in industrial zoning, manufacturing and assembly of equipment, trucks, 55.29 is just a cleanup typo. And then a 55.38 to add age, practical difficulties are unique to the property and not self-inflicted. Granting a variance will not significantly alter essential character of the surrounding neighborhood. That was also a state code change in the variance requirements. So
Okay.
these have been posted on the website. We've done 2 public in the paper. So, but yeah, they're just kind of a lot of cleanup and then adding what state codes requirements to allow.
Missy, thank you. This is the public hearing portion. Is there any public comments? Anything online? Seeing none. I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move we close the public hearing.
Support.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 6 is ordinance 2025-6, which would approve the first reading of proposed Marion County ordinance 2025-6. Missy, you pretty much went over all this, and definitely some cleanup things, but definitely some code changes that I do think that are important. And it's, I do appreciate you taking the process in which we're just looking at approving the first reading and making sure all the public is aware. So we then will discuss this in the next meeting also. But board, do you have any questions for Missy? Not, a motion to approve the first reading, ordinance 2025-6.
Move to approve ordinance 2025-6.
I'll support.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Missy. Item number 7 is the Class B retail alcohol license application for Red Rock also known as Red Rock and Marion. Board before us, I believe Jake, generally is, that receives these applications. Do we have any concerns from anybody from Sheriff's Department or, anybody else, environmental health, that they all signed up on that?
No negative comments.
No negative comments. Yes, I'm gonna vote. All right, board, do you have any questions regarding this Class B retail alcohol license? All right, entertain a motion.
I move we approve the license application for Red Rock Marine.
Or,
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
On to item number 8. Item number 8 is resolution 2025-76. This is our FY 26 Iowa Community Assurance Pool. It's also known as ICAP to us. Scott is with us this morning and appreciate that. Scott, if you Scott is with the K group. I would like to just give us some highlights. In this, I do notice that there was just a little, well, there was an increase, as most people, insurance is increased.
Right. Well, it's good to see that things are slowing down, as far as rate goes. For these companies, there's still some losses, happening out there, so, but I guess we're happy to see that. The only real rate increase was in the liability section, so business auto, professional liability, law enforcement. It was less than 5%. The increase in building coverages, and I don't know if I have that sheet with me, was basically just traditional additional buildings, building changes, contents and that type of stuff.
Looked like $2,100. Property coverage increase? Is that
Correct,
what you're talking
correct,
about?
yes. And want to let you know, we got a notice that again this year, ICAP is paying to have a evaluation company come out and go through all buildings over $200,000 and try and get those or assess those and just to make sure that they're the right amount. And the only real option I think that was proposed here for the renewal is that ICAP had stopped offering cyber liability. And so we'd written that with Tokyo Marine, and this year ICAP had negotiated to write the cyber liability with Tokyo Marine being the underwriter for it, and do so at a discount. The only thing that the current Tokyo Marine policy covers is betterment. So if we've got old equipment and we have a loss, then we have to upgrade that equipment. That additional cost would be in there. However, the deductible with ICAP is now $10,000, where it was $50,000 with the current Tokyo Marine. The premium difference, there's not a lot of premium difference, but ICAP is still less. But also taking into account that $10,000 deductible, the million cyber is $12,915. Under Tokyo's, it's $13,604. So only about 1,000 savings there, but again, 40,000 savings in a deductible. Tanya did manage to get a 2 million option, and that's really more board and IT's decision. ICAP's 2 million would be 15,000.
And how long ago, Scott, do you remember? I mean, I know we added on the cyber liability. It's not been that many years ago, has it? That we added?
No, and it's only because insurance is reactive, and so they started to see who are being the targets, so schools, financial institutions, and cities and counties. So that's when I think ICAP, I mean, we've been aware of it, and small businesses aren't exactly on board with it yet, and partly because you don't see a lot of those losses at a personal level or a small business level. And but the board decided that would be good to enter into that space. And even though I think your IT department is very robust, it's, I always use the Target example, is they also had a robust IT system, but it was the plumber the HVAC guy who came to plug in had to hook up to the internet to get to this, and that's how Target got hacked. So and it's increasing, in dollar amounts and frequency. So I think just having it in place is fantastic. So I think our recommendation would be that we switch our Tokyo Marine to the ICAP Tokyo Marine policy. At what limits, that's up to you guys.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm following, because I'm seeing a sheet. It says the year full cyber liability premium of 13,604. Is that different than the 15,247? I'm trying to follow on what
Yeah.
we will be owing, yeah.
So currently, Tokyo Marine's renewal for $1 million policy is 13,604. If you want 2 million, it's 16,962. In comparison, ICAP is offering that 1 million at 12,919, or 2 million at 15,224. So about $1,000 less
Okay.
for ICAP. So that would be our recommendation.
So the coverage for the cyber, how active are they in that process? What's the process if you, as you just said, if you get hacked? There are insurance companies out there that have team specialists that you notify them and they come in and take over. Is that what we're paying for here?
Yeah, so first it's gonna be when it's kind of a process, but once you notice something has happened, we get a hold of them. They bring in a third-party forensic team that goes in and says what happened where, try to find out where the breaches were. And then they also will then have a PR team that puts together stuff. And I've seen an alarming amount, even from the banks, that said, hey, you know, we've been manipulated. And it just feels really nonchalant. To me, it's critical. and Philadelphia Insurance Company was the most recent one here a couple weeks ago. They were down for about, I don't know, 4 weeks from an internal. And so, and their email to everybody else was, it was really, we're doing what we can, but our stuff had been leaked. And so that's the main part. One is the forensic. B is some of the stuff that they call it bricking, which is they can make your computers just do nothing. It's a brick. So they'll, you know, replace those when that happens. So, but the main thing is being, you know, and federal regulation on breaches and exposed personal data, and then monitoring personal data. So we have hundreds of thousands. And I think the last I checked, it was a little over $100 a record. So we'd be talking 100,000, 200,000, you know, or more records and costs to do that. So the one thing I didn't ask is if they have a cyber, like we have loss control for property and liability and whatnot, if they have a loss control to go in and do that, but I'm happy to do that here for you guys when I leave.
Good, I appreciate that. IT, do you have any comments? Seeing that, okay. All right. Board, do you have any further questions, comments?
I do have one last question. How many counties use AI? The 99 counties, and I mean, is this 20% of the state, 40% of the state, 10%?
I don't know if Tammy is on Zoom with us or not, but it's a significant amount. And there are very few municipal players in here, and we've found ICAP to be extremely robust. And so in each of the counties that we insure have used them, they've used them for years. But per our conversation last year was, can we do this? And last year there wasn't time to do that, to get it submitted. And part of that, when I say time, is municipalities have one of two renewal dates. That's July or January. So after July, they're working on the January renewals. And then after January 1, they're working on July. So we did talk to ICAP about your intent, and there is a form that we have to sign. It's official. We have to send a certified letter that is our intent to withdraw from the pool. And that is to say, we're going to shop it. So we give them that notice, and then we would give 6 months notice. So in January is when we would have you guys sign that, we'll send that in, then we can submit to the other carriers.
Right, Tanya is on, Tanya was able to give us some information, and it's my understanding, the 75 of the 99 counties, is that correct? I believe so. So, Tanya, are you on?
It's on their website, Keisha.
It's on our website?
Yep, it's on ICAP's website that they represent 75 out of the 90 counties.
Okay, all right, so, significant, yeah, please, so.
I'm just one of those guys that likes to shop. You know, just always taking a percentage increase every year is just, it runs contrary to my business acumen of going out and asking people for their best prices, rather than just sitting back and writing checks.
Right, and as McKay Insurance as an agency, because we get to see all the markets, we'll see this, not to, I won't use company names, but, you know, I took a 50% increase from the carrier that I have been loyal to for, since I started. And yeah, and especially, I think the insurance industry created this marketplace. While the pool is not necessarily, it's a pool, not an insurance company, so still took the same losses and find themselves in the same position, but they didn't do a very good job. They actually created this chaos, which is everybody's jacking it up just at different times. And so now that this is the first year we're seeing things start to settle down, which means the market is softening, which is now, I think after this renewal is good to go out and get a look more. Everybody's rates were all over the place. So, but for us, once we get the quote, we needed time to get the submission put together, get the quote, and then the burden of the time is to take all that information and go and say, because it won't be apples to apples. And so that's where we need a full team of our people. And ICAP also did mention an ICAP 101 representative, Casey Kaler from Bilbray Insurance, who manages the program, would come meet with the board, whether you do it at a meeting or independently, just to say, here's what this is, especially because they also keep their fingers on the pulse of the competitors, and here's what they do. So if that helps at all, I'd be happy to schedule that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I definitely think something that we as a board, it doesn't hurt to look, and
Mhm.
something that we can definitely be, you know, working on. And Scott, if you're willing, you know, something that we can look at and see, you know, I don't know how many other companies there are that do this. Is there a ton? Is there?
No, for Iowa,
Yeah.
EMC and Iowa Municipal.
So
And
really-
the only ones we have with Iowa Municipal are small, really small. So IMC would be our next competitor.
Yeah, I think it would be good to check.
When we get into that window, then we will get Jake that intent to withdraw, so we can start.
We can at
soliciting.
least, you know, determine if that's something that, do we need to bring that before back to the board, again, Jake, or is that? something?
It might not hurt just to make that a formal action, that you are saying that with the understanding is to shop.
Right.
But if you're signing it as a board, an intent to withdraw from ICAP is fairly serious in my head, so probably. I mean, I don't know that
And that's also
it doesn't
something
hurt.
I know.
Understanding it's to shop, not necessarily ultimately to leave ICAP, maybe.
And to me, I struggled with why we have to say that to shop. Isn't it our own freedom to be able to go out?
Well, we had the same question, because it does sound like extremely,
It sounds pretty.
but it's an official, we're giving you a heads up. And I remember last hard market was, this is with the school systems, was, they had other companies come in and there were opportunities out there. And we represented the school with this other company, and EMC came back, and first company shot the rates out of the bottom, and then EMC came back and went underneath that. So it's ugly in my opinion on how that side of the industry works, but I think that is, and they're trying to be formal, and in the school programs, I'm not sure about EMC or Iowa Municipality, but the school programs, if you get outside of the EMC, which is the major school insurer, they make it difficult to leave these other insurance programs. So
So, Jake, how long have you been with ICAP? Long as you can remember?
As long as I've been here.
it's over in the 80s is when I think we started.
And so when I guess, what's the risk of saying that you're gonna go out there and shop?
There is none, and we're happy to do that. We just had mentioned that it's not like we haven't tried, we
Yeah.
did, and due to certain claims and losses and all that stuff. Plus, we were doing it in the worst time of,
Right.
in my career of the insurance marketplace chaos. So now that things settling down, people may be more aggressive, and all our concern is we don't care who it's with, but we've had the relationship for so long, and that between Tanya, Danny, and Tanya, that's a cohesive unit, and they work together all year long. So, but I think all things said, if coverage, price, and relationship, if it's cheaper than the same product, I would switch.
Clearly, there's an awful lot of pressure on the county budgets, and will continue to have county budget pressure,
Yes.
trying to make sure that we're able to provide the services to our citizens at the best available price and keep taxes as low as we can. And this clearly is a large expenditure that, quite frankly, needs to be shot. I mean, we just need to make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck and representing our citizens to the best of our ability.
Okay, that'll be on our calendar.
No, I appreciate that. Today, though, we will be approving FY25, FY26, ICAP. So if there's no further questions, entertain a motion for resolution 2025-76.
Move to approve resolution 2025-76.
Second.
Thank you, Scott. McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 9 is resolution 2025-72. It's award of a contract for 110th place to AP. All right, Tyler?
So, yeah, so on June 26th, we held a bid letting for Portland cement concrete paving on 110th south of McKimber. We received 4 bids for the project, with TK Concrete being the low bidder, coming in 27.75% under our estimate and budgeted programmed amounts. The project has a completion date of September 26th, with the project commencing upon completion of the Knoxville Waterworks project on 110th. I recommend approval to TK for the bid amount of $108,984.
Tyler, I just have one question regarding, it seems like some things are coming down a little bit in regarding these bids. Overall, being presented, are you seeing a trend of downward? I mean,
It's hit or miss depending on what the project includes for materials and work. But yeah, I do think contractors are hungry for work. I don't know that materials necessarily have come down, but the contractors are eager to work, so they're being more aggressive in bidding.
yeah, because there's quite a bit of difference between the ones that we have before us and David's the lowest, so yeah. Mark, do you have any thoughts, comments for Tyler? If not, you're getting a motion.
Move we approve resolution 2025-72.
Support.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Moving right along, item number 10, resolution 2025-73, award of a contract for PCC bridge approaches. Tyler.
So similarly, we accepted bids on June 26th. And I also had 4 bidders on this project, with Boulder Contracting out of Gurney Center being the low bid, coming in at 1.66% over our engineer's estimate. The project has a late start date of September 8th with a 20 working day contract. Boulder is the contractor that did the bridge approaches on the Flagler Bridge and was recently awarded the demolition of the Dollar Bridge. And
So therefore I recommend approval of the award to Boulder in the amount of $201,490.40.
I have a question for you, Tyler.
Yep.
Is Boulder the one that, on the Flagler Bridge, they had to come back in and fix some things, or was that
No.
approaches? That wasn't them?
No, that was for the bridge itself.
That was for the bridge itself.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Clarity. Okay. Any questions for us? No? Entertain a motion?
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2025-73.
For
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Item number 11 is resolution 2025-74. This is a joint CHBP grant, agreement and support letter.
So I believe you've been introduced to this by Jay at the last meeting. This came about rather quickly during the month of June. There was a notice of funding opportunity, a NOFO by the Federal Highway Administration for some additional funds called the Competitive Highway Bridge Program Grant, specifically for 4 states, Iowa being one of the 4 states. So there was a release of funds for those 4 states, with each state being allowed up to 5 grants, I believe, with no grant being over like 30 million or something like that. So the Iowa County Engineers Association put out a request for bridges of a certain meeting certain criteria, for which we submitted a bridge that was already in our 5-year program. So you guys have probably heard me talk about that bridge. It's in year 4 or 5 of the 5-year program. This is on Highway S45 south of Melcher, Dallas, towards the Lucas County line. So it's the next paved road bridge that we have in mind, and it's on the brink of being load limited. So we had that bridge programmed, and I thought it was a good candidate and it met the criteria for the CHBP program. So I submitted that, and then Jay took that ball and ran with it while I was off. And the result of that is we are a finalist from the Iowa County Engineers Association. Ultimately, the state of Iowa, so the Iowa DOT has to be the applicant. So there are county, city, and state bridges all being bundled together as part of the state's grant application, for which we are one of the counties. I think there's 15 or 16 counties. So our bridge is being bundled with a Keokuk County bridge. So the Keokuk County engineer and Keokuk County will be the administrator of our individual bundle. This 28E is for Marion County to participate in this joint bundle. And I believe at the end of it, in the exhibit, it details that we are included with Keokuk County being the administrator of our particular bundle. I did send this off to the county attorney's office. Not sure if they had time to review that or not. But from my review, it is fairly standard 2080. We recently saw this back in January when we applied for the build grant. It's a very similar structure as far as the agreement itself.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
So clearly the bundling allows you guys to have the significance of projects, is that correct? And regarding, meaning obviously it has to qualify the bridge which we have, but it says if awarded, this will save Marion County nearly $1 million.
So
Because of,
it's federal dollars. We have it programmed as federal dollars already in our 5-year program. It's just a different federal funding source. And where I currently have it programmed, it's an allocation that Marion County receives in federal dollars. So now we'll be able to use this essentially external federal source and keep our allocation to do another bridge or 2 somewhere else in the system.
So this is a net add to our ability to do bridge repair.
Correct. If awarded. Yep.
If awarded.
Yep.
but generally, is it because of what you're putting together, it makes it a higher ranking in which federal funds, is that how that works?
Right. By bundling does 2 things, and Iowa's really good about bundling because Iowa has bridge standards, whereas a lot of states do not have bridge standards.
Okay.
So that was one of the criteria that all the counties are doing a standard bridge. And, that can mean a variety of things, but we're able to say we have a need, we have standard bridges, we're gonna have a unique project with standard bridges where a contractor can basically do this cookie cutter over and over. And we have the need. We can show the greater need when we combine different types of entities, being the city, county, and state.
So do you feel like this is a one-off program, or is this a continuing process that we might be able to have bridges added to it in future years?
That would depend on the renewal of future transportation bills. I would say it's like a one-off. This is round 2 of the CHBP, with the first round not including, well, Iowa might have been included in that, but it was different criteria. So I think this is very unique, Jim, as far as Iowa being one of the handful of counties being eligible for this money. And the current federal transportation bill will expire in the next couple of years. Fiscal years get me mixed. Federal fiscal years get me mixed up. I think it's in October of next year. Okay. So we'll hopefully see some renewal in infrastructure funding with similar type programs, but for now it's a one-off, I would say.
Board, any other questions, thoughts? Board Tyler? Not, entertain motion for resolution 2025-74.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-74.
I'll support.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 12 is resolution 2025-75. This is the FY 25-26 secondary road payroll policy. Tyler?
Yeah, so this is an annual approval that we bring before the board. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure how it got started, but we do utilize it. It's probably an advent from early 2000s, when the road department employees were union, potentially, not sure. But basically it sets the base wage by position. I remind the board every year, this is not what each individual in those positions are making. This is the base wage. So if there was a position change, so for example, a promotion from mechanic 1 to 2, it sets the difference between that they would receive in that promotion. Or if we were to hire someone in to a position, so when we post a job, these are the base wages that we are utilizing. I do kind of hope that this goes away in the future. When we talk about a compensation or wage study and, a grade and step program or some type of different pay matrix, I do kind of hope this goes away. But for now, continuing with the approval of the base wage for the various road department positions, they all include a 3% increase, with the exceptions of some part-time positions and things like engineer intern and such that we don't typically hire for.
Do any of these changes impact any current employees?
Only if they change positions during FY 26.
Not in their current role.
Correct.
Any other questions, Tyler? Not, entertain a motion for resolution 2025-75.
If you approve resolution 2025-75.
Second.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Thank you on all 4.
Thank you. Item number 13 is Marion County IT, Neapolitan Labs. Good morning, Drew.
Morning.
I'm gonna say that, thankful for Drew this morning to come. I had spoke, I think the last meeting was talking about, now that we got the handbook done, it's next is to work on the employee portal. So, Drew got right on it and scheduled a meeting with Brian with Neapolitan Labs. Lisa, with HR and myself and Drew and Nicole all had a little meeting last week. And I thought it was time that, to continue the process forward, that we, put it on as an agenda item. So I will kind of turn it over a little bit and, to Drew. We have what slides do we have any slides?
No.
Okay, all right.
So.
So Drew, can you give us a high level of, what we're told and how this will kind of work for the board? Board, I know you have some pictures of what it could possibly look like in your packet.
Yeah, so just different features. I know Neapolitan showed us different concepts that other counties had already, since they built for other counties and cities. Just different key features they do is words, calendar, content. I know you guys want kind of the HR policies and handbook on there. That's possible. Also, probably there's also like an IT documents, which will be probably helpful for our side. We just have to get documents and stuff like that up there. So I'm trying to, of course, be benefits be up there. That's kind of what they show. Then they do have facilities directory. So I know Nicole builds like an Excel sheet that kind of has all the people's names, what extension they are. They can be put up here. It's just some back end on the IT side we have to do for that. For the portal access piece will be mainly your email account. That's county email. For those, like some of Tyler employees doesn't have an employee email, they should be able to use like their personal Gmail, get access that way too, unless we want to further talk about getting email accounts for them. And there's just going to be some work IT side as we have to clean up some of our disabled accounts and stuff like that, which that's easy to do. There's also an option to do text messages. So if there's like courthouse is going to be closed, they can send that out. If that's an optional cost, if we want to go that route, I'll leave that up to you guys. For that piece, trying to go through, they are also going to do some website updates as well as they're doing this employee portal just to they had several different upgrades as well for other counties, so it's just probably about time they're doing this. Might as well do that as well. I think there's some ADA compliancy on the website as well for colors that they got to do an update for us as well. Cost wise, it's just a one-time cost of 11,000. Texting components about 2,000, and of course for the annual hosting is just another 1,000 on top of what we already currently owe or we yearly cost. Then of course for text messages it's just another $250, depends on how much texting out from the site we do and all that. So timeline wise, they say about 16 weeks to get it going. I know when we were on the meeting with Brian and Kimber, they said for the 4 weeks they want to meet within 4 weeks, meet with department meetings, talk with them. With nationals coming up, they can push that forward. Just, especially with nationals, it's a little crazy that whole week. So, but they said at least within 16 weeks, they can get the website going or employee portal going, I should say. So hopefully that kind of sums it up for the most part.
So I think this is a concept that if you're not familiar with it, a lot of companies do what's called intranet. So it's, obviously for the employee side of things. It is to me the next step to be able to get us to the point of being able to access documents online. Department portal, access probably would be limited on who would be able to go on the backside of some things. But that'll be something that I would have to have IT work with and who those groups would be. But HR would be able to help utilize some of this. And honestly, I'm looking at this more for those documents aspect. I'm looking at it for communication. Let's say we have a weather situation. Right now we have a phone system that we use. This would allow that a text message, an email, whatever could be sent out to notify people. and it could happen quickly. Versus trying to do phone tag. But I'm really excited about this, honestly. I think that it will be helpful. It will also allow a lot of other documents to be able to be put on there. Whether it's like an insurance documents, things like that. In the future, depending upon where insurance goes, that's how you could be able to access some of that insurance information, too. So, yeah, the overall one-time cost, I guess I wasn't surprised by this. I think that it's reasonable when it comes to especially our annual hosting of $1,000. I mean, that's not bad. The ADA compliance issue, the updates, I'm happy that I did not realize that, but there's some features in which when you're looking at the screen that is not necessarily compliant when it comes to somebody that must be with I don't know, colorblind or whatever it may be, yeah, so. Or do you have any questions? I know this is a little bit unique situation, but this also would be something that at the bottom of the website, it would be like you would log in your portal there.
And this would be just for employees only.
Only employees, correct, yeah.
I just,
So like handbook. So like when you update the handbook, and if there's section of the handbook updated, you can view the handbook and you can say, hey, this is when this revision was done. All those things, that's a good way of just communicating and being able to highlight different sections of the handbook, which would be nice. Versus having, we actually have a paper copy now, which nothing wrong with the paper copy, but it would be nice to have electronic copy too, so.
you had one question, a couple comments and one question, that is with the optional texting component, is that something that can be added later?
Most likely, yes.
And the
and
reason
just-
for that is adding a texting component. I mean, I recognize everybody has a sense of privacy, et cetera. The texting component only works if we have everybody's cell phone numbers. So I'd hate to have us think that, oh, well, you know what, we can send out a text and we'll notify all employees. If you've only got 30% or 20% of the employees' phone numbers in there, and it's gotta be a cell phone, then it's not gonna be providing the service that you think that you're paying for. So that would be my first step is, crawl, walk, run is one of those things that I always look at is, you know what? I totally concur that this actually is the next step in trying to make the county more efficient, in trying to help staff keep up to date on anything that's available to them, options, and making announcements if there's countywide events or weather related or health issues, or even just reminding people, you know what, you need to sign your handbook and get the information back to Lisa. Those are all of those things that are important to do there. Coming from private industry, we've had an intranet for a long period of time and found it to be very beneficial for finding forms. You need a W-4 form or whatever, go to the intranet and all your forms are out there. It helps the county become so much more effective and efficient that we can spend our time on other things rather than chasing down a form and sending one off. So I'm wholeheartedly behind this process, and I think it's something that we absolutely need to do.
Jim, can I just add to your, about the cell phones? I would say we have 100% of all cell phones. I would guess maybe that is something that we did when they first start, and that's usually how we start communication with them. So I would say we have everybody's cell phone numbers.
I'm knocked out of my chair having that information. I had no idea. I thought it would have been far less.
Yes, but that is, that is what people communicate with now, and so, I think, if you can think about that, we do have all those cell phone numbers and that texting part would really, it would allow us, excuse me, to notify all the employees in a timely manner, other than sitting out calls and texts.
So
The trees and everything, so
Yeah, I think one of the things that we have to be mindful of is making sure, that people are getting into those portals and updating, like if there is a phone number change. And then I think IT, I would like you to take lead on, how we're going to do email addresses, because whether, especially with the road department, those that don't have them. Some people may not want to give out their, have a personal email, so
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm,
how much difficulty that is to.
it's just had to buy some 365 licenses or the exchange licenses. I'm kind of one for that. If you're an employee, you need to have an email no matter what.
It would be nice to be able to have that, so then we could also send those reminders. So it might be such a thing that we have to nudge sometimes, hey, you gotta get in your employee portal and check, there's documents that have been updated. And just making sure that they're aware, and that would be something with the department heads having to work through, but. Yeah, I'm willing to hear how you guys want to do this. I mean, I'm all for the employee portal. If we wanna add texting later, or if we wanna add it now, or, I don't know if it's gonna cost us any less. Or any more to do, I don't know. I don't know if it would cost us more to add that part later.
I'm not sure. I can talk to Brian and Kimber and double check that if it will cost more later on, but
There a limit to the texting?
I don't think so. It's just be more cost depending on how many texts we set out per se. So.
And clearly it wouldn't be something we would have.
Because we use a couple of different systems for texting.
Mhm.
We used to use a statewide system that was pretty good, now that's went away, and so, and we're obviously using it more and more often, but it's super time consuming what we have now.
Yeah.
So we would be interested in a mass texting option, I guess. Communication is something we.
And I think it's something
Not
to,
kind of email.
hopefully even for the communications and texting, you can departmentalize those and say, I only want to send
Right.
to the road department, or only to conservation, or sheriff's department, or whatever, so that you can departmentalize them that way as well. So, I mean, quite frankly, as you said, Lisa, if we have all the cell phone numbers already for everybody, and that is already our preferred method of communication, then I'd say let's knock it out and move on, because we've all got other things to do. I don't mean to suggest that we continue to revisit this. I would say, yep, you know what, as long as we've already in place and that's our preferred method, lock and load, let's get her done.
Yes, I know. I probably would recommend just double checking in case anyone has changed their number, which I mean, it could happen depending on how long the employee's been here and stuff like that too, but.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Steve? On board with all this technology stuff?
No, I hate technology. No, I think it sounds like a good idea.
Well, with that, entertain a motion for the approval of moving forward with the Neapolitan Labs as presented today.
Will we move forward with the plans for the proposed employee portal website updates?
Second,
Johnner,
Hi,
McCombs,
aye.
Mueller.
Hi.
Thank you.
thank you, Drew. On to item number 14, before us today is the Marion County Sheriff Deputy position. So if you remember, board, I believe it was not the meeting before, but the previous meeting, so it'd be approximately a month ago. We had a discussion about hiring a mental health, hiring the deputy, and the discussion went around about mental health deputy that at the time was not did not look like we were having a contract, but Jason, thank you. It sounds like there is a new mental health contract, and that was sent to me last week, sent to the board actually. The board, I'm hoping you had time to review that contract, and I appreciate that. So I believe that was what was pulled up before, and regarding backfilling the position, board, we didn't have the contract, and so that time, I was the one that stated I didn't think that they were gonna have a contract. I do think the contracts are limited in the amount that has been received, but I am grateful that there is a mental health deputy contract. And I believe it is, Sheriff, I believe it is a step down type contract, is that correct? It's 100% first year, second year is 50%. third year is 25, and then fourth year after that would be 25.
Correct, and those can be renegotiated on those amounts.
Okay, all right.
175.50 and then 25.
Yeah, 170, yep, the first year would be 100, yep, and then, so this next year would be 100. I guess the only question I have, and then I'll let the board, Sheriff, what have you put in place so that we make sure that billing, so we don't have a mishap in regarding invoicing?
So actually Lieutenant Caius and I believe he's even went up and talked to Jake to make sure that we are all on the same page with that coming in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's gonna be an issue or concerns with that. It's direct billing to the state, so.
All right,
And the state's the one that's, and the state is the one that's responsible for the payment,
Correct.
not another county.
Correct.
Has it been appropriated?
Yes.
Says all payments from them are contingent upon appropriation from the
Yes.
Iowa legislature.
Yes.
and that seems like that's something that could be, depending upon what the legislation chooses to do, I mean, that's out of our hands also, so. But for this year, it has been appropriated, so. Board, that was the concern that I had before about, backfilling the, Marion County deputy position. Does anybody else have any concerns otherwise?
Don't have any concerns, but I'd just like to commend Sheriff Sandholt for going out and negotiating this and getting this contract in place. It's the mental health process that the state and the county has done in the past. Quite frankly, in my opinion, is we've continued to look at that for budget cuts, especially at a state level and as a national level. And I think it's shameful for what we've done for the mental health and those that are challenged and face those challenges. And unfortunately, that puts an undue burden upon law enforcement to be that first responder when it comes to mental health issues, where originally it should have been taken care of upfront and before it gets to that point of public service for the sheriff to respond to, which should have been done in a mental health facility long before it ever got to that point. And I recognize the fact that none of us can control that. That's just Jim's opinion. Is I thought we've done a very poor job from a national and a state standpoint of taking care of mental illness.
Thank you, Supervisor Mueller.
Sheriff, do you know, I mean, obviously with the mental health, being at, it used to be in this building. My understanding from speaking with Lindsay, there is people that are still showing up. Do you know anything from the state and how the process of that in case, I mean, how do we handle it knowing we just have the mental health deputy? Is there any other processes or any?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I mean, as of our past discussions a month ago on different things, we have to have a little bit of faith in the state. That's hard to do, but imagine having all these different regions, those regions go away, and now it's all of a sudden put on the backs of the state or IPCA to do those things. So it's going to be, I mean, a year, 2-year process on different things to figure out what truly is working, what is best that's out there. They're trying to keep a lot of the resources in place, but not all of them are going to be kept in place. I truly believe that this position is a vital position in Marion County. And I mean, not that the other positions aren't important, but for my office, it's very, very important. And so we don't know, I mean, where things are going to end up. And nor do I think that it can be expected to know. And all of a sudden we're on July, whatever today's date is, and this all happened and changed July 1. So, I mean.
Just wanting to know if maybe you and Lindsay can communicate on how she's supposed to handle those people that are coming here.
Call us. Yeah, if it's something where, I mean, if there's somebody shows up or if there's a concern, that's what the mental health deputy position is for, is to try to get people connected with the resources they need. Obviously, Lieutenant Geist does a fabulous job with it out at the jail for those people that are there, but it doesn't have to be just somebody that comes to jail for us to help. I mean, it's truly that position. The number of contacts that Derek has that aren't even people in jail is huge. And the relationships that are built because of that. So yeah, if there's issues or concerns, let us know. Or if there's people that need that help, that's part of his job, is for those follow-up.
Yeah, so we used to have regional staff in the building, and now with the change, they've given us a 1-800 number. So that's how we're supposed to help people at this point. There will be a navigator hired for Marion County, but they haven't hired one yet. and the chances that they're located in Marion County is not likely.
So yeah, so it's all, I mean, all of those things that are there, that is Derek's job. I mean, if we can head something off and get somebody the help they need before they come to jail, that is, I mean, our ultimate goal. So it's not just those that are incarcerated, it's everybody ahead of time to help also. And to, I mean, as Lindsay said, when you have those areas, or Jim said, when those areas are shrinking, that's why a month ago I was so passionate about this, is we can't continue to, you know, put a rug over things or whatever. That, I mean, the needs, I wish, I didn't think about it last meeting, but the comment was made, our population isn't growing or whatever. Our population isn't growing, but I can tell you our mental health calls are tremendously growing. I mean, and that was pointed out to me after we walked out of that meeting, and one of the other providers is like, it's not about population growth. It's about call volume and the amount of needs that are there. And we have had a significant increase in that over the years. So
The only thing I'm concerned about, Jason, is sooner or later, are we gonna price ourselves out of business? You know what I mean?
well, that, yeah, and that's the thing that you don't, in all different aspects of county government. I mean, and that's, I'm passionate, whether we would have got, or whether I would have got the grant or not, I'm passionate enough that I truly feel it was that even important whether we got the grant to keep it, but I'm happy we got the grant. I mean, that relieves that stress side of it. And I'm sure down the road, there's probably going to be more conversations on how important is that position if it goes to 75%.
That brings me to my next question. That it's fully funded for the first year.
Mhm.
And then the step down after year 4 is about, it gets down to 25%.
And
Will your budget, your current budget, will you be able to absorb those costs without increasing your budget in the future?
yeah, I don't know the true, I mean, my answer would be a hopefully yes, or whatever, but I truly don't know. I think this contract, I think you're gonna see changes. I think you're gonna have the things that are going to develop and move around, where my goal is that 100% funding continues on, because I truly feel it's,
That'd be great.
yes, but those are the arguments or discussions, shouldn't say arguments. Those are the discussions that will have to be had with the state.
I just
Yes.
don't wanna hire somebody and then 5 years, excuse me, 5 years down the road, say, oh, we gotta let you go.
I told you a month ago, I was willing to absorb that and to move forward and to do those things even without the grant or whatever. I still hold true to that today.
Well,
that this
was
is-
my question.
Yes, this is above and beyond, but even if it would have been, that grant wouldn't have came through, I would have been saying, hey, this is so important, we have to
'Cause
continue.
I don't wanna see the budgets go up every year just
Understand.
to cover,
Yep,
that's
Yep.
where I'm at, Jason.
understand.
And it looks to me when reading the agreement also, the next 6 months about the co-responder, the MPH, you have to visit with them about that. It's my understanding that Knoxville and Pella both have a co-responder model. Is your department open to, if the future goes, if Iowa Primary says this is how we have to do it, we have to do a co-responder model?
You have to have that, yes. But if you talk to the people that originally are the CIT experts, they didn't want a co-responder model. As 2 law enforcement officers is the model that the San Antonio model is based off of. The only reason the co-responding model came into play is because an individual that was negotiating the contracts with those individuals required that. So that's not the national standard. That's not what the San Antonio model is based off of the guys that train and teach CIT. I mean, I truly believe it'd be great to have a Knoxville officer and a Marion County deputy as co-responders, or Pella, or whoever, you know. What's going to end up happening down the road is there's going to be a huge discussion. I was able to get this contract in place along with other contracts that are already in place for mental health police officers. I mean, they've renewed contracts in the metro area or different things.
Right, it's
This-
understanding, it's kind of local. I mean, there's not very many far out in the state.
This was the first one in this
Right.
is the first deputy that I fought for to have this funded throughout the state. We're a leader in this area. What you're seeing is other counties, other police departments, Pella and Knoxville jumped on saying, hey, this is so great, we want to do it. The problem is going to be there's only X amount of money in the pot. Sooner or later, the state is going to say, do we need 3, mental health,
in Marion County?
police officers in Marion County, Or does Jasper County need one? Does Warren County need one? Does Mahaska County need one? So those discussions are still gonna have to be played out. I mean, and it's gonna be hard discussions. I mean, I'm gonna fight, for Marion County deputies because we cover all of Marion County, whether it's Knoxville, Pella, Melcher, Bussey, they go everywhere to do that. And I feel that, it's very easy to argue, we can cover all of Marion County. I would love to have partnerships with PDs or different areas or however you do it, but it may end up being a regional response. You may have counties coming together that says, hey, you know what? Mahaska County and Marion County are gonna have to team up, have two people and try to respond in both. Because all of that money, there's only X amount of dollars that the state has also. But I can tell you the importance of this position or whatever. I mean, there's always discussions on whether it be, how do people respond? How is somebody tripped out in an event or whatever, in different things? I'm a firm believer that it's a lot easier to send a law enforcement officer that can handle all different aspects of it than maybe a mobile crisis person that goes out there and all of a sudden the person turns violent. It's like, well, send a deputy or whatever. And we're funding mobile crisis areas across the state on different things. And I think part of the reason the state went away from the regions is to have consistency, because not all the regions were doing it the same. You would have certain regional CEOs that would say, well, this is most important, my pet project, so I'd fund this. You'd have a region next door say, well, I don't agree with that, I'm going to fund something different. I think the benefit of the state having it is consistency and truly looking at what is working and how is it evidence-based.
Well, this position, Jason, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just thinking outside the box here. This will ease the scheduling for the other deputies if this deputy is in place.
Workload.
The workload.
Yeah, so well, the position that we're filling is a road deputy. So the road deputy spot eases the scheduling, because right now, my guys are covering because we have an open position, an open deputy's position. The mental health is above and beyond. Where it helps on this is instead of sending a road deputy that normally is out working traffic or going to a domestic or something else, you have somebody trained that can go and deal with those mental health things to handle it. And it's not just on relieving the workload of those deputies. It's the follow from the jails. It's to keep people out of the jails. If we can go and get people keep them on their meds or whatever, that eases the workload for Lieutenant Caius or the jailers.
So,
Well, we try to still help the hopeless. On even ones that are there, that what I don't think people realize is how important the bonds are that are built. If I called in Deputy Lancer right now as our mental health deputy, he's not gonna list out all these names of people that are there, but let's say he listed the names of 15 people. What's so important about that is the relationship he's built with those 15 people.
you don't have to convince me.
So,
I get it.
I think we're very supportive.
I get it.
That's the benefit.
I get it. It's just the funding and the.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad we didn't have to get to the discussions of what is most important for funding. Because I have opinions on that.
Anyways, board, before us today is just the Marion County deputy position. Are you guys in agreement of backfilling or to fill that position?
Yes.
We're not calling it this.
No, because the mental health is, no, it's a side, he has a deputy position that's open. That at the time, we didn't have a contract, so yes.
Jay, do we need a motion or?
I think if on an agenda, I think it makes sense to make a motion just to approve
So
the
then
position.
it
Is that-
gives direction to HR, so go ahead and backfill the position.
I move that we backfill sheriff's position that we've been talking about.
Marion County deputy position, yep, I'll second that.
McCombs,
Aye.
Healer,
Aye.
Johnner.
Thank you.
On to item number 15 is the special event application, Marion County Fair Association. Jason, you're right.
Yeah, this is just on the Tuesday night before the Nationals, and we have Brian Sick with AV Pubs had the party up there. We've just added to it, so this is just another place, a request to be able to use the parking lot after 4 o'clock. I think it is on that day, like we've done the last 2 years, I guess.
We're gonna have to talk to people to make this list out, Jason, and put you in that.
I like seeing what's going on.
So, okay, so is this something that we need to make sure that they're identified, I mean, so that people can get out, is that gonna, for the courthouse at all, because it is 4 p.m.?
So all we've done in the past is we've let the staff know that it's usually sometime between 1 and 3 o'clock. Go ahead and get your cars moved off the square. The city, the racetrack, everybody's accustomed to them setting stuff up at this point, so this is not new for the courthouse staff. We just send out an email. I think in the past, Jake's reminded people via email the day before, like, hey, just make sure your car's moved out by X date. And we've never had an issue with it. And I will say, we've actually never had an issue with anything in the courthouse grounds either. They have done a phenomenal job of cleaning up afterwards. I'm in full support of it, so.
So, board, do you have any other thoughts, questions for Jason, otherwise?
I don't have a question, however, your certificate of liability insurance expired April 1st of 2025, so we need a new.
Well, I took the new one up to City Hall, so they must not have attached it on there. So where you got a copy sent to you before that, but they do have the new one now, so.
Okay, all right.
I think they just used last year's and updated.
Yeah, I don't,
So.
I suppose that's because they were retiring on their day off, last day, I guess, I don't know, but. Yeah, we do have the new one up there, so.
We can just make sure we get a copy of that, but other than that, entertain a motion for the special event application.
Make a motion, we approve the special event application from Marion County Fair Association.
I'll support that.
Mueller,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 16, Board of Supervisor updates. Mr. Mueller, do you have any updates?
I will be out of contact all of next week. That's our only update.
You on vacation again?
Yep, I'm retired.
Mr. McCombs?
I have a landfill meeting tomorrow and I have 2 HERDA meetings yet this month.
The only update I have is handbook. The handbook, the paper copy is complete. We're asking department heads and electeds to please see Lisa to get their new handbooks for your department. All right, and then there are also some signatures that you need to do, and those that serve on a board, the board chair would have to sign that. So that.
One last thing, I'd like to publicly just say thank you to Chris and the whole facilities team and everybody associated with bringing this facility up and online. I think it's performed admirably considering this is our very first attempt. Hopefully everybody online agrees, but thank you so much. The facility here really works well, I think, for the meetings going forward. So thank you again. Kudos to the whole team.
I have a question for Mr. Nist to be after the meeting.
Gotcha, Steve.
Thank you, and thank you for giving us grace for today, because it is always something new, you know, it always has its challenges, but overall, I think it was hit. So thank you. And that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
John.
Aye.